Hey guys, I made a goal for myself to make a video every single week. My goal is to do one every Monday so that I have the weekend to kind of think about what I want to do for the next video. My phone, I don't have enough memory on my phone, so I'm going to have to spend some time to get rid of stuff that I don't need so that I can do more videos that are not all just me typing stuff on the screen and working through problems. I do want to talk about myself more and talk about launch school and the things that I do to keep organized and just a whole bunch of other stuff, but I can't really use my phone right now. And I know it's going to take some time to do, so that'll have to be a project for the weekend. So I was going through lesson 4, the notes on selection and transformation, and I came across this problem that didn't really make sense to me at first. So I kind of just wanted to go through it. I did talk to another student and talk like through the problem, and she said that I had the hang of it, but I just wanted to give myself extra practice and go through it because hashes tend to give me trouble for whatever reason. I think just because it just looks different than a lot of other stuff that I see in Ruby or have seen. Um, and the whole using a key to access values thing kind of just confuses me. But I'm working on it. So I'm just going to go through the problem. This is the solution that they have in the notes. It's not my solution. So I took some time to go over it and to just see if it made sense. And it does now because I've seen it so many times. I just want to practice speaking through it. So here we go. The problem says to select the key value pairs where the value is fruit. So here we have a hash called produce or a hash that's assigned to the variable produce. So in this video I really want to practice speaking things, so I may or may not be correct in how I say things, but I'm hoping to have someone look over this, and if they have prior knowledge with Ruby, they could possibly help me because I do want to improve and get better at how I talk through the code. So let's see, we have this hash that's assigned to this variable produce. Hashes, if I remember correctly, they are data structures and they're collections that have key value pairs. They say it works kind of like a dictionary. So this is the key and this is its value. And to access the value, you need the key. In this case, all of these keys are strings and so are their values. So yeah. Here we have a method called select fruit that takes a parameter, one parameter, and in this case it's called produce list. I think if I remember correctly, parameters are just placeholders for something that you want to pass to a method. Down here, I guess it's called the argument. This produce is a variable. This is the argument that you're passing to the select fruit method. But up here, I think I read it somewhere that the method doesn't know yet what you're going to pass to it and what it's going to be called. So for now, this is just a placeholder. In this case, it's called produce list, but it will, later on, it will be passing in this hash. So inside, we are assigning the, how do I say this? We are calling keys, this method keys on produce list and assigning that return value to this produce keys variable. And what that means is this produce list, this hash, we are going to be taking the keys of it and putting it in this array. So the keys method returns an array, and in order to access these values, we need the keys to do it. So we're going to save these keys in this array and assign it to this produce keys variable. Here we have a variable called counter, and we're assigning it to 0. And then we have an empty hash that's assigned to selected fruits. Here we're going to enter the loop, and this first comment says this has to be at the top in case produce list is an empty hash. It says here, break if the counter is equal to the size of the produce keys array. I hope I said that right. So the size, calling size on produce keys, I think returns an integer, a number. If that array turns out to not have anything in it, that is, if the size of the array returns 0, the counter in the current moment is 0, which means that it would be an empty array and there wouldn't be anything in the hash. So that means that we can't do anything with an empty hash. So it'll break out of this loop and continue on to the next thing that it has to do. I guess that saves us a lot of work and time. Instead of having this down here, if we went through all of this and it ends up being an empty hash or array anyway, then, well, we didn't have to do any work. We just have to return an empty hash. So I guess that's why they put it up here. Next we have, now this is always kind of a little difficult for me to say out loud, like what this is doing, so I'm going to try my best. We have current key variable that's assigned to the current element of the produce keys array. So right now the counter is at 0. To add, how do I say this? Produce keys array. I want to say this is like we're trying to access that current element. So the current key is that first element of the array, because arrays use 0 indexing to count. So instead of counting 1, 2, 3, 4, it's counting 0, 1, 2, 3. The counter's at 0 right now. Produce keys, this is kind of like, in my head, how I visualize it, it's like, oops, it's like this. Produce keys. So if we have this array, that 0 element is apple. So we're assigning apple to current key, right? So I think that at this point, this is what it looks like. Since the counter's at 0, we're starting at the first one. Then on the next line, oh my god, I cannot spell. We are assigning the current value to, now we have the produce list, in this case it would be the hash, the current key. So the current key is apple, its value is fruit. So that will be assigned to the current value variable. So now we have the apple, the key, and the fruit, its value. Here we come into this if statement. It says if the current value is equal to fruit, in this case it is, then I think here we are like creating a key value pair into this selected fruits hash. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right. Like if we are creating this key value pair, or if we're just like copying or replicating this key value pair, like right here, into this array, if it equals this. So here's the selected fruits, and this is what has confused me before, because this kind of, I know we use like brackets when we're dealing with arrays, and then I would see like the name of the hash here, and then I would think to myself, like, why are we using brackets to like create key value pairs? And I never really understood that, I guess, until now. So that current key, which is apple, is assigned to the current value, which is fruit, which it is in this hash, and that is being copied into the selected fruits hash. So since it does equal fruit, it gets put into the hash. Now we move on here. The counter, we're going to increment it by 1 each time. So we are essentially looping through this array and checking to see if its value in the hash is equal to whatever this is. So on the next, I guess, incrementation, the counter would be 1. So we'd move on to the next element, which is caret. So then this would change to caret. The current key would change to caret, and then the current value would change to vegetable. And it would come back down here. So it's going to come back through into this loop. It's going to check to see if the counter is equal to the size of the produce keys array. Counter is 1. The size of this array is 4, I think. So it should be. It's not, so it's going to keep going. If the current value is equal to fruit, we're going to create that key value pair and add it to the hash. Since it's not, since it's equal to vegetable and not fruit, it's not going to do it. So it'll just go to the next number, and how do I say it? It will increment again. So then it would be 2, and it will move on to pair. So it will just keep doing that until the counter equals the size of this array. It'll break out of this loop, and then at the end we return the newly created hash that we made here. So that means that we are not mutating this original produce hash. We are dealing with a new one. So when we run it, yeah, see, I've done that. So when we run it, it'll return the hash that we made here with the selected key value pairs like we had wanted. So there it is. This kind of took me a long while to understand. I'm not too sure why. I don't know if at this point it should be like I shouldn't have any problems understanding, but I still do. Ruby is my first language, so it's not like any of this is intuitive for me. So it's still a little bit difficult for me to understand, but if I sit for a while and go through it like I just did and try to really understand it, it'll come to me. And I think this is like really cool. It's interesting. If I had changed this to vegetable, then it would give us the key value pairs: carrot, vegetable, broccoli, and vegetable. And that's just really cool how you can change it like that. But I had a lot of fun working through this problem. And when I finally understood it and was talking to another student about it, I got really excited. I was like, wow, this is really interesting. It just didn't make sense before, and now it does. And it makes me want to learn more about hashes. It says somewhere in the courses, when something is giving you problems or you're finding something difficult, to lean into it. Don't shy away from something that is hard for you. And I guess at first I did have a problem doing that. I thought, oh, hashes they just are so confusing, and I never spent too much time, or as much time as I should have. But now that I'm doing these videos and I'm talking to more students about the things that are giving me problems, I'm starting to notice concepts or data structures, stuff that I find more difficult, and I'm keeping that in my mind, like a mental note of what is troubling me, and I'm practicing that more. I'm forcing myself to see it every single day so that it doesn't become, or it doesn't seem scary anymore, and I will just practice using different methods on them, and having someone else explain something to me really helps, because sometimes reading all of these notes and courses, they're helpful, especially if I read them multiple times, but sometimes it just doesn't stick in my head. But hearing someone else explain it in a different way for whatever reason can sometimes help me just get it. And yeah, that's what happened when I was talking to the student about this problem. And so yeah, I'm just gonna have to keep practicing with these, and every week I guess just do a video, and it really helps me. Like now I'm doing this video, I'm looking at it, and I guess this is now the third time I'm talking through it. I think I really do understand it. So yeah, um, I guess I'll do another video next week. If I have gone through my phone and deleted stuff and I have enough memory on it, I'll do another video, maybe not solving a problem, but talking maybe more about myself or launch school or something like that. If not, I guess I'll just do another video on a problem. Um, so yeah, thanks for watching if you watched it, and I'll see you next week.